Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. Hello, hello. Welcome to Guidos Bros. I'm Jeremiah. I'm the brother.
And I'm Jason, the other brother.
Awesome. All right. What do we got on the docket for today, man? What do we want to talk about?
Well, we were talking a little bit just now about a bunch of random things. And so I guess what kind of struck me is the world is quite small. Information travels fast. And I think where my head went and where I think we can maybe take this conversation is sort of a tangent to one we've had before, I think on your other podcasts. And that is, why do so many people care about what you care about? And why do they want to know so much? And I say that in the context of the stuff that's going on right now in Israel and the Gaza Strip. It's a big deal. It's a real thing, and it's really happening. And some people are picking sides. A lot of people are staying out of it. But then the people that are staying out of it are getting pressured to pick a side on it. And it always strikes me as weird, and I can't stand it. But why do people have to know what you think? Why do they have to know where you stand? And why do people feel pressured to take a stance as if it's meaningful in some larger context? Like, what the heck is that about? And I hate it.
Yeah, well, what's also annoying, okay, so if we travel down that rabbit hole, for me, I inevitably will end up at the why then is it not okay to change your mind?
Okay, so pick a side, learn something, pick a different side or whatever.
Yeah, okay. We see this in our political arena all the time right now. It's to admit you're wrong, or to admit that, yeah, I didn't have all the information and now I got new information, and new information says I got to have a different idea. Right? Like, people won't do that. They will. Every hill is the hill to die on.
Right. Because, like you should have learned everything. And so you should know everything. And that learning has ended. And where you stood yesterday is where you should stand every day.
Yeah.
As if you can't learn anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's stupid.
But so when you make a mistake, so you said your question was, why do people care so much about what you care about? I'm going, yeah, like, really? Why do people care so much about what they care about? Like, they decide, you know what? I'm going to stand for global warming, and I'm going to die on that. Why do they pick that? Or I'm going to stand, and you know what? The end zone for me is abortion rights. Why is that the end zone?
Yeah. Okay. So it's not. Yeah, it's like learning must end. It's really what it comes down to. It's like it's the most unscientific thing ever. Where if I have a stance on something that I believe to be true, let's see. I'll give you an example of one that I read more about and figured it out. So, I love America. I served in the military. I love the flag, and I love what America stands for. 99% of what it stands for. I love the Constitution. There's no secret there. And I also am a Christian. So you could say that I am And so I'm just stating this. I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying this, that you could say that I'm a Christian nationalist.
Yep.
But if you take each of those independent of each other, they're both okay things. I love my country, and I have a belief in the Bible and Jesus being the Son of God. That's not hard. But when you combine the two, it has a very specific meaning, which is abhorrent. And it is an evil, like we talked about last week. It is a not good thing. It is forcing someone to be something that they don't need to be. And so when you read about their doctrine, which I did, I learned about what it is, and it is not a good thing, right? So it's like,
of course, when
but,
you look at it, what they're saying in Christian nationalism, what they're saying essentially, for the listeners out there who may not know, what they're essentially saying is that we are a chosen people. And it's based on the nation, the United States as a nation. And that doesn't even actually fit our forefathers. And like, that's not what they were saying. They were saying we need to create this because we were being persecuted over there. And we want to create a system where that religious persecution doesn't happen for Christians or for anybody else.
Right. And it's also to force that onto others or weed them out in some way. Like they literally say to do that kind of thing. And back to the point is it takes learning. You got to learn. Don't just accept being called that, because if you know what it is, then you know how to say, no, that's not a thing, because you don't know what you're talking about, and then force someone else to kind of learn about it. Right. And that's what I kind of mean by if you pick a thing, learn about it and see if that is your thing. And the scientific way to do that is to try to prove it not true. Right. You make a hypothesis, and then you put every ounce of effort into trying to prove your hypothesis false. And only when you can't prove it false can you make the conjecture that it might be true. Not that it is definitively true, but it has a very high probability that it is true. And so you got to constantly evaluate yourself. I take a stance on something, and I'm like, okay, now that I think that that's what I believe, now I'm going to put everything into reading and learning to try to say that I'm wrong. And that's what keeps the learning process flowing. It's only when you take a stance, believe you're right, and then anyone that says anything otherwise must be wrong. That's when you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
No, of course. Okay. So you've said some things in here that I don't know, I'm going to rabbit hole here, but love your country. You're a Christian, so you love God. What's the alternative? It's hate your country?
Okay.
Hate God? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but here's the problem. What I see happening is people, they're good. A lot of people will be like, no, don't hate your country. No, don't hate God. Just be neutral.
Be indifferent.
Be indifferent. Isn't that the same thing as, at the end, isn't that the same thing as hating your country? Because let's be real, that makes you a lemming. It makes you can be just moved by, oh, hey, our country stands for this now. The next whatever thing that comes down the pipeline, they can go, well, this is what our country stands for. And you'd be like, oh, okay. Like, that just seems stupid to me.
Yeah.
So indifferent doesn't make sense, but hating also doesn't make sense. So how then do we navigate? Because we got to stand for, Tupac said it. You stand for something or you fall for anything. Right. So we got to stand for something, But why can't people fathom? Why don't they understand that it's more complex than two or even three or even four options,
Oh, right.
right?
You're
Like,
talking about the alternatives. Yeah.
because I mean, I literally not too long ago just did this on my other podcast too, but I talked about, it was actually probably one of my favorite podcasts that I put out, to be honest. I was talking about Letitia James in New York,
Prosecutor.
the prosecutor, although she's the attorney general, so the fact that she's prosecuting a case herself is very interesting.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
That being said, I talked about, it was basically talking about don't suck at your job, and at the end, I more or less told I more or less, so I was building it up, and I eventually said, is it Letitia James that sucks at her job? Is it, or is it the fact that y'all voted for her? You suck at your job as citizens,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because at the end we had other options. It doesn't always have to be Democrat or Republican like they tell you it has to be.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
be independent, it could be libertarian, it could be constitutionalist. What I mean, but I don't know, man. Like, there's other options. It doesn't have to be hate. And
Yeah.
if you're not there, if you're not a God follower, okay, I don't have to hate you because I am.
Oh, right. Right. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's people just think it's this division, this mentality of there are two, which is mind freaking boggling, because on the same, and this is going to be a leap, but at the same time that everything is being shoved down your throat, pick one side or pick the other, there's only two options. We hear all this talk about non-binary. It's like the
Oh,
irony.
it is. That is funny. And I'll take a leap on this one too. Because wait, just lost my train of thought now. You're right. So restate what you just said. You not the non-binary right before that. What'd you say? You said
The division, you
oh,
got to
that's what
take
it
his
is.
side.
That's what it is. So here would be an interesting question then. We are a species of struggle. We thrive under adversity. That's our thing, right? We figure out ways to survive. And so that struggle is part of our DNA. And that's what we want. What if this struggle that we're going through now is the invented struggle because things have become so easy that we have to create division in order to create struggle so that we can satisfy our biological need to fight through things. We used to have to fight for food. We used to have to fight for um, fight other people for food, whatever it is. We had to fight to survive cold and heat and lack of water and the elements. And so the world provided all the struggle that we needed to sort of survive. And now we've learned to conquer things with air conditioning and fire for heat and cooling. We can purify water very easily. All we have to do is turn on a sink and there's water. Like, you don't even have to do anything to it, right? And food, you just go to a store. Like, people become so ignorant to where it comes from and the struggle that other people have to go through to get it to you. That we're like, okay, since we don't have to fight for anything, like basic survival, that we need to create something to fight about because we need that.
Okay, so then you'd be suggesting that the enemy is comfort.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I classify it as an enemy, but it's the idea that comfort has eliminated the normal tension that we would have from day to day, like when you watch bugs and animals and they have to fight through everything to get what it is they need, and we don't have to do that. I wouldn't classify it as an enemy. I would classify it as a conquered. Honestly, I don't even know if conquered seems kind of like permanent, but it's a somewhat conquered uh, element of human existence that we actually need.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, these then how would you explain the silencing of others? Because the ultimate comfort is never hearing anything you don't want to hear. That would be the ultimate comfort of like, I'm so deep in the echo chamber. It's like the Matrix. I'm so deep in that I just don't even know anymore. This is reality. The fantasy is reality.
Yeah, okay, so this might not be an area that I can even speak to because I don't like comfort. I like certain aspects of comfort, but I don't thrive in that environment. I don't like it as much. I like some kind of chaos, and I feel good, which is goes to my point of needing a struggle, right? But I do it in a different way. I don't do it in an adversarial way. I do it in a, what can I take on that's going to make me feel like I've taken on too much that I can't accomplish it. That's what I like doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I do that. I don't do it through hate. Like I don't know if I'm rabbit holing here, but if someone says something I don't like, I don't care, because I like that they could say it, and it doesn't really bother me. I actually hate more when people talk about other people more than when they talk about me. That bothers me more. Like if someone were to say something about my family, I would care more about that than I would if they said something to me directly. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's not the kind of conflict that I like or that I thrive in. Which is why usually I shut up and don't tell people what I think, because nobody really cares, honestly. And
They're only looking for confirmation of their own thoughts.
that, or they want it to be adversarial so that they can give you all of their thoughts, right? It's like a 1-2 punch. They
Yeah,
either,
no, it's not a dialogue. It's about monologues, a series of monologues to create I told you so.
right, right.
Yeah.
Or it's
Okay.
a yeah. So we're all on the same page. It's one or the others, right?
Right. Okay. So so this is where my mind went as you were telling this. There's this story because in the river of life, there are two banks. On one side of the river is the bank of chaos. And on the other side of the river, there's the bank of rigidity. But if we want to stay in the river, we don't want to get caught up on either bank. The idea is to stay somewhere in between where there's some rigidity, there's some structure, and some chaos. Because if we go too close to chaos, we end up on the bank of chaos. We're not moving down the river of life.
Sure.
And so it's the idea of rebalancing. So for instance, if as an example, if I'm if I realize I haven't read a book in a month, right? I just haven't been doing any reading. And I go, I might be getting a little academically stale.
Mm-hmm.
I will I will look at my life and I'll go, what chaos created the distraction from me having set aside rigidly set aside time for me to do some reading and some growing and learning in that way. And that's how we navigate. So if we're looking around and we're like some of the basic things like brushing your teeth. I had this one counselor I worked with once. He'd say, my indicator for when I am getting a little too chaotic in my world is when I realize I haven't flossed in a few days.
Yeah.
Because that means the things that he cares about are just getting away from him.
Right.
The rigidity. So he must be moving toward the chaos bank.
I get it.
So,
I get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but here's the thing. Here's my question then. Do you think other people think this crap?
Honestly, no. And it's not because I think that thinking this crap is the most useful thing you can do on the planet and that somehow it makes you a better person than someone else. It's not that. It's that I think people are just so wrapped up in what other people care about, back to the original question,
Yeah.
that they don't actually take the time to sit and reflect meaningfully. Like to just be self-aware in a way that is free from the noise. I don't know if you can see it, free from the
Yeah.
noise of stupid stuff like this, to just, I mean, a 10-minute walk a day without technology is, people don't understand how valuable something like that is and how much you can actually just consider the world differently
Yeah.
in that. And it's because they don't take the time. So that's, again, that's why I think people care. They because they're so wrapped up in that world that they're just like, I gotta know what my neighbor thinks. I gotta know what, what is that? They came home later than normal. What are they out there doing? Like what's their opinion on this? Holy cow. What's going on? And you're
Yeah.
like,
It's a consumer mentality. Instead of a, we in a lot of ways, we really truly have lost the philosophers, the
yeah,
contemplators,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like if you look at what's disappeared the most, it's probably that. And I think a lot of them have navigated their way, if they had enough talent to, into music, maybe. Um,
Mm,
but we mostly have lost the philosophers. They're the
yeah.
people who just the in praise of wasting time,
I freaking
right?
love that book. I'm
You
gonna read
know,
it again.
yeah, it's super easy read.
For the
But it's
listeners, it's In Praise of Wasting Time by Alan Lightman, Alan Lightman.
Yeah.
Genius. I love that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, it's really that mentality of, why don't you just shut up and contemplate for a few minutes?
Yeah.
If somebody comes up to me and they say, "Hey Jeremiah, what do you think about this war in Israel and what's going on in Gaza and Hamas?" And it's okay to say, "I'm still formulating my opinion." I can tell you that, the murder of people unnecessarily is bad. It's evil. But I have to know more before I figure out what exactly is going on. Because the other thing that we have to consider today, honestly, I wish we would slow down in our responses like that more often. Because
Mhm.
the other thing we have to consider is the false information that's purposely being fed to everybody,
Right.
because they know there are consumers who will repeat, 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 repeat. And if they can create, it's the old, it's something we've known for hundreds of years. If you control the narrative, you can often control the outcome.
Yep. And if you can, if reaction is the objective, then all you need is to get a reaction so that you can react to their reaction, which will cause them to react to their reaction, reacting to your reaction. Like
Yeah, exactly.
and it just creates that whole thing that
What
just,
and then that, when you get into that cycle, I know what that one is. I am like, absolutely. You go ahead and backwards science this one. When we're it's called demagoguery. It's been around forever,
Mhm.
right? And the idea is, if we can incite emotion, I can prevent you from seeing what I'm doing over here. It's the old magician trick. If I get
Yeah.
you looking over here,
Yeah.
and then over here I do something that you're not paying attention to, even though it's happening right in front of your face, all of a sudden you're gonna be like, what happened? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
you fell for the oldest trick in the book.
Yep. All right. Well, I think we can wrap this up. But I do have, because I got a jam actually.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No, you
I
good.
do I do have the most important question of the day though.
Okay, what is it?
What's up with your background?
Oh, that is the most important question of the day.
It
You know,
is.
you know what we just did? You know what we just did?
We just
We
did
did,
a
we,
bridge.
we just did a bridge. This one's going to release on Guidos Bros and Healthy Perspectives.
There we go.
So thank you all for joining us. Appreciate your day. Please like, subscribe, do all the things that you do, and we will see you later.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms, but you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.